Is your financial advisor an advisor or a salesman? Welcome to another edition of Hanging Out with Popsy Guy, where I ask the age old question: are you being sold something or are you being given good advice? Now, if you saw one of my last videos on wisdom or advice, I spent a little bit of time talking about the difference. But I also shared with you that I spent the better part of 20 years as a financial advisor. And it wasn't wisdom that I was dispensing, it was true advice. And the advice was, as I had mentioned before, based on facts, based on data, based on things that I could analyze, given the situation of the potential retiree and what their goals were. And then we could advise that person on the best track to reach a successful retirement. But I want to make sure you understand that there is a difference between financial advisors and financial salespeople. This by no means is financial advice. I don't want to run afoul of any of the state regulators. I was a licensed financial advisor. I was a registered investment advisor. I held my certifications as a financial planner and a retirement planner for many, many years. So there's a lot of education that goes into financial advice. But at the end of the day, it is also a business. And that business needs to generate revenue to stay in business, to hire employees, to use the latest and greatest technology to woo you into seeing their point of view and the best way for you to retire according to their models. So I just want to ask you to make sure that if you're already working with a financial advisor, that you have an honest discussion. There are some awesome financial advisors in this world. Um, I'm I'm partial to ones that hold themselves to what's called a fiduciary standard, which is a higher standard than most advisors, which is a best interest standard, where they're dealing in your best interest. I'm a big fan of somebody who is full of disclosure about how they get paid, because let's not kid each other. The money that they're earning comes from the money that you're investing, whether it's in an investment account where the fee is generated by the management of the assets. It could be an insurance contract, whether it's an annuity or life insurance or long-term care insurance. You'll have to ask, how are the fees or how is the revenue generated to the firm? You have every right to ask that. And the reason I tell you that is there are some advisors who say, hey, you don't owe us any money. This money is not, you put your checkbook away. We get paid because the company that we place your business with pays us. Now, what I want to do is have you sign all these forms. Um, it can be very, very daunting if you're not on top of your game. And let's understand that this is outside of the ownership of your home. If you've got retirement assets that you're going to be carrying with you and generating income for you in retirement, this is your biggest uh, asset, right? Is your 401k, your IRA, or whatever cash that you have to invest. So it really behooves you to take the time to ask questions about your advisor's practice. If you're new to interviewing financial advisors, my recommendation is pick three. Don't just take the first one that looks good, sounds good, bought you a free dinner at a seminar. Your friends all use this person. They call him a great guy or great gal, and they never do you wrong. Always remember the name Madoff. Now, I'm not saying financial advisors are out there creating Ponzi schemes. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that there is a tendency for us to be very comfortable in the relationship we have with someone. And we don't want to insult them by asking tough questions. So we just let the decisions be made. And if you don't understand the decision, sometimes you just may say, hey, what is it that prompted you to move X over to Y and sell Z and buy A? I just need to know. In most relationships, that's covered under the advisory agreement, where you give the advisor the blanket permission to make those trades in your account, whether it's based on, excuse me, a model that they're running or just opportunity in the marketplace. But you have the right to ask. It's your money. And having been on the other side of the desk many, many years, I always came with the pardon me, with the philosophy that if a client cannot explain to a lay person or friend of theirs, sitting out on the front porch, having a cup of iced tea, a glass of iced tea, if they can't explain what they own and how it works, chances are good they shouldn't own it. There are a lot of financial products that are very, very complicated that the advisor needs to take time and explain to you. Now, you don't have to be an expert in it, but please do yourself a favor. Don't leave a meeting with an advisor thinking, boy, I wish I had asked this. I wish I had asked that. I really am not sure what this means. Take the time. This is not a doctor, right? Where the doctor gives you, on average, 6 minutes. A financial advisor usually would book anywhere between 60 to 90 minutes to meet with a prospective new client, do a review for a current client. They will meet anywhere between 5 to 7 meetings a day, average of an hour. They're working hard. They're being prepped by their assistants. The advisor will take a look at your portfolio, measure it against what it is that you both agreed that you need out of that portfolio, and then look at it and say, there are tweaks that we're making across all of our portfolios, including yours. We're going to sell this investment and buy this investment. And the other thing you need to know, and you really have to know, I think it's too late for 2024, if it's not a qualified account, and by qualified, I mean if it's not retirement money, whether it's an IRA or 401k or something that is sheltered within the income tax code right now, you need to know what the tax impact is going to be on that particular trade for non-qualified assets. You have a right to know that because I swear when you bring all your stuff to the CPA is going to go, now why? What? I don't understand this. And they're going to look across the desk at you and you're going to say, I don't know, my advisor told me to do it. Try to avoid being in that situation. It's a fine line. I get it. You don't want to be that person that is questioning everything, but you do want to be that person that takes a stronger interest in your money than anybody else. The advisor is building a business. There's a critical mass that that person or that office has to get to become profitable. They have a tendency, I know this to be true, to try to group accounts and portfolios and clients together. And it's easier to overlay a decision based on common characteristics of a certain client profile rather than do what every advisor says, which is to build you a customized portfolio. I'm telling you right now, if every advisor built a customized portfolio specific to that client, they would limit the number of clients they can work with effectively, therefore limit the growth of their business, ipso facto limit their income. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't. I think that most businesses, whether it's a financial advisory firm or a franchise, is looking to grow revenue, especially nowadays with technology and artificial intelligence. And I mean, it's crazy what these advisors have to do to stay competitive, to leverage technology, to leverage model portfolios, to leverage outside money managers where they cannot sit down. And even though they promised you a customized portfolio, that portfolio falls into a bucket of A, B, or C. And because of your demographics, because of the amount of money they're managing for you, because of your investment goals, because of your risk tolerance, that's where your money belongs and that's where it's going to stay. Customized, customized to a group of people, but certainly not customized to you. It just can't be. And that's the reality. So be wary if an advisor says to you, we customize every single portfolio. It's tuned right to that person's particular needs. That might be true, but it's not customized. It is modelized, if there's such a word. But I started this out by saying, is your financial advisor an advisor or a salesman? Things that you should make sure that you ask in forming a relationship with an advisor is, how do you get paid? If the advisor is a registered investment advisor or an uh, part of a registered investment advisory firm, they're a rep, then you have every right to see what's called the Form ADV. Matter of fact, they should be giving you a copy of the Form ADV after the first meeting. That's the full disclosure document that you should be reading. Um, probably you don't read it. It's very much like when somebody buys a mutual fund, they get the prospectus, and trying to read a prospectus as a non-professional is trying to learn Latin when you're 110 years old. It just ain't gonna happen. But you have the right to ask those questions, and you have the right to those documents. One of the resources that you should be comfortable with using is the Securities and Exchange Commission. They will have a part of their website talks about the disclosures of registered investment advisors. You can find it on the SEC website. You can either search your advisor's name, or if in fact you have one of those ADVs, you can take a look at what their registration is and so forth. But anyway, do yourself a big favor and make sure that you cross your I's, dot your T's before you hand over big money. I wanted to keep this short because the answer to the question is that person an advisor or a salesman? The answer is yes, they're both. They're an advisor who has to generate revenue, and the revenue generation comes through some sort of sales presentation. I will discuss different types of sales presentations that you need to be very aware of, different things that advisors will share with you or say to you so that it makes sense. And then some things that you're going to hear that just don't make any sense, but they sound good. Investing money it's part emotional, part logical, and it's very difficult once you hand over the management of your assets, um, not to stay on top of it. Even though you can look at your reports and you can get onto the custodial website and see how much money you had, how much you made. That's all well and good, but what's really happening behind the scenes? You need to ask those questions. So I just wanted to share that with you. It's something that I'm passionate about. I'll probably have more and more discussions with you about these things, because if you are 60 years old or older, you are definitely a prime profile client, potential client for these advisory firms. There are many firms that will, excuse me, invite you to a nice dinner seminar where you can get to know them a little bit. They'll talk about different topics like Social Security or some type of financial product that is all the rage that you need to know about, but you don't necessarily need to have in your portfolio. So as we get together and as I see comments about, hey, what do you know about this? And what are your thoughts on this? I'd be happy to share those with you, with the understanding I am not a financial advisor. I am no longer licensed. I am no longer holding on to any of my designations. I have moved away from that business, but I still have a great deal of insight to share with you, because don't forget, it's your money. And as I said before, if you were paying attention, nobody cares about you as much as you care about yourself. They're not thinking about you all the time. They're thinking about you when they're sitting in front of you in the conference room. Then, as soon as you get up and walk out, the next person comes in, they're thinking about that person. You need to take care of yourself and think about your own portfolio, your own investment assets, and the things that are important to you, and ask the right questions. So, I hope that was helpful. I thank you for spending time with Popsy Guy. This happened to be a little bit more of a professional discussion versus some of the other things that we'll talk about, but I had to get this off my chest and get it out in front of you and just see what you have to say. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time. And you've been hanging out with Popsy Guy.